Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. This is me talking to myself, the part of the day where I just wake up or get in from a long day and I just talk to you about things that I have been thinking about since the night before while I was laying in bed. And it is Sunday, March 28th. It's a really good day. This would make, I think, maybe 10 consecutive days with me talking to myself, and even more. I think this makes like at least 2/3 of the month of March where I've actually made content. So consistency is key. Shout out to all 148 people who are following me at the time of me making this video. Truly do appreciate it. Especially for the fact that some people don't take too kindly to long form ranting, and for some reason you enjoy some of the things I have to say and the conversations that I am trying to start. So appreciate that. Thank you very much for that. Appreciate those who have been able to reach out to me either through YouTube or through Instagram just to have conversations. I really do, because I really enjoy looking at not only a lot of your work but also hear where you're coming from. So there'd be a couple things that I talk about whenever it comes to that. One of the main things that I'd actually like to talk about is if anyone has any advice for using Google Ads. Once again, I came from a small town, so getting people to be able to, as clientele when it comes to photography, was a little bit easier when you're in a town of less than 30,000 people, and everyone knows you're one of like 6 photographers in the city that's actually has, that actually works daily. And so, here in South Texas, it gets a little bit tougher because the market is so saturated. So I'm trying to do different things like Google Ads and everything, and they've worked pretty well. I've been able to get some traffic. I've been able to get some flow, with re-updating the websites and things like that, trying to make it look a little bit better. So if any of you have portfolios or any websites that I could take a look at, just to look to see how you do things, how you set things up, how you set up your portfolios, how you set up where you place your pages. Like, I'm going to be making a packages page. That way I can, package, the experience with the prints. You can get a little bit of extra money selling through prints. And so, try to do stuff like that for everything that I do, making different packages to where, it just really incentivizes people to jump right in. Plus, when people see they have a price immediately, they don't have to contact you for the price. It really makes them jump in deeper. And I understand that while I'm in here in the market, I'm going to have to lower my price than what they usually were because, the supply is greater than the demand, which I'm fine with. I'm just looking to just see who is out there. If you guys have anything to offer in that regards, I'd really appreciate it. So last week I talked to a guy named _Dylansview on Instagram. Really awesome guy. I talked to him about photography, how he got into it. He talked about how his father was the photographer in the family, actually did some stuff professionally. He's going to school for it and everything. And then this week I'll be talking to one or two other people. Whenever it comes to photography, and they may be professionals, they may not. One I know who is not a professional photographer, but the guy is just very, very talented. He's a naturally gifted person. He naturally has an eye for certain things, and his name is Young Ansel. So I'll actually be looking forward to setting something up with him to be able to discuss with him. Sorry, I have shower hair, and get in touch with him. There's also Anthony, who has a YouTube page here. We're going to be reaching out to him to try to schedule something so I can get some time with him just to discuss what he does. Young Ansel shoots with the X100V, I believe, and so he uses Fujifilm recipes. Most notably that I've seen is the Kodak Portra 100. He uses the Portra 100 film recipe on his X100V, and the guy just has great composition. He lives in he says a small town, and he does a great job with what he has. It's a lot of fantastic views, and so a lot of stuff of just was it rural life? Yeah, rural life, and urban decay and things like that. So I really do like that kind of stuff. And the other guy, Anthony, he's also known as film.count, I believe. It is, I can't believe, frame.count. Sorry, Anthony. Frame.count. Just amazing shots, man. He's using a Texas Leica, which, funny enough, last night I was on KEH, and they had a sale for a Fujifilm, or Fujica GA645 point and shoot, and I have about 5 rolls of Fujifilm Pro 400H. I prefer Fujifilm film stocks, and so I was really tempted. I almost spent the $600 on getting that thing because it was in excellent plus condition, just so I could shoot these rolls. And then, if I ever wanted to do it, if I ever wanted to do it for a project, I could. And so Didn't end up going through with it. But yeah, Anthony is very, very talented. Frame.count on Instagram. The dude just really knows what he's doing with the camera. I like the choice that he's making when he's shooting analog. And I mean, he does a really good job of just hitting all those right lines, and you know what I mean. And so I'll be looking to get them 2 on. And then the last thing I want to talk about, because I got a notification from a comment from someone last night. There's a guy on here who is very, very talented, and he follows. I believe he's subscribed to the channel, and if he's not, he's just someone that comes by and he leaves comments every once in a while. But I mean, last night I was just talking to him, and he's an older man, so you always want to hear from someone that knows more than you, more than anything else, and his name is John Ilko, and if I'm mispronouncing that, sir, I apologize. But he told me, hey, I'm John Ilko on Flickr because I wanted to see his work, and when I look through his work, it's beautiful, and I mean, this is what I mean by building a community, because when I looked at his work, there was nothing that was, and I'm not saying this to be facetious or anything like that, and I mean it with respect. There wasn't any like fads or trends that were being shot. There wasn't shots of buildings for the hope of shooting buildings. There wasn't shots of portraits for just the hope of having your portraits recognized, and there wasn't really any simulations, really much editing done to the photos, unless they were black and white. He's given us the photos as they're coming out of the camera, and even as black and whites, it doesn't look like there was a huge curve to over exaggerate the shadows or the highlights and things like that. But in all of his gallery, or in all of his albums that I looked at, no matter what it was, and I looked to see what groups he was in. Everything's in like the X100 group, and I mean, regardless, there's a difference between people who came from film as that was their only choice in their photos versus people that dabble in film now. And the difference is that when you came from film, I just noticed that the shots that are taken are not that they're more intentional than the other ones, but there's always variety. And and I'm not saying anything about anyone that shoots film, but I'm just saying, like, right now what we do, and because I do it too, and this is me just being honest, I shoot a lot of the same concepts in different areas. So with different subjects, with different pieces of architecture, I shoot a lot of the same concept. The angle on the building, splitting that down, a straight up shot, stuff that everyone does, but it doesn't tell a story. And that's the thing, is I'm shooting for the concept more than I'm shooting to tell a story. And in every single page that I went through, whenever I got onto my Brave web browser today and I looked him up, everything was telling a story. And I still have it pulled up right here. He's John Ilko on Flickr, ILKO. Fantastic beard, by the way. But yeah, every single album is telling the story of the area he's around, and he's been able to capture amazing candid moments. And that's the thing, is there's just a difference, and I don't know how to explain it. I don't know how to put my finger on. Just in everything that he does, I just encourage you, go look at his photos, whether it be his photos of animals, his around town photographs were honestly probably my favorite ones. Like I said, I don't know where he lives or where he's from or what he does, but with all the photos that he's taken, I just feel like I know the city that he's in. I know the vibe, I know the people, and the story is just completely told with every single photo. And once again, I know that places like Flickr and Instagram, you're putting your best shots, but it's just something different. It's just something that is a little bit more I don't want to say intentional at the risk of hurting everyone else or hurting someone's feelings and making them feel like, I shoot film, or I shoot this, and I'm in my 20s and I'm very intentional, or I'm in my 30s and I'm very intentional, because I understand that you're intentional, but it's just from a place of respect and just from a place of acknowledgement with the way that he shot, that I just feel like a story is told in every single photo. That it's not just that, and once again, because I did the same thing, it's not just a concept shot. It's none of these may go in a book, but they are shot as if they're all going for a project. And so that'd be the best way to describe it. His name is John Ilko. He's on Flickr. I really highly recommend going to look at him. There's a lot of people that I highly recommend looking at. I might make another video where I talk about people on Instagram, because there are more than a few that I really recently people that I got to check out that I'm really appreciating for what they're doing. There's a Matt D photo, MADHD photo, Math D photo, on Instagram. Guy, again, has amazing shots. I love the colors that he's working with and how he grades everything. If he is, I'm not sure if he's shooting film or not. Says digital, and he's from Quebec, so let's just be honest, he's probably super duper polite and really good at hockey. But yeah, there's just always be looking to not only, and I love the way Dylan said it in whenever me and him were having a conversation on the Talking to Strangers About Photos video podcast. I love what Dylan said whenever he said the biggest thing for Instagram, but even just community and social media, is just being nice to people, just being very supportive, because that gets you a long way. And I think it does. I think that's what this is about. Listen, I know that I've shit on Leica reviewers for a while, for like the past 3 weeks. But, one thing that I want every Leica user to understand is I don't hate Leica, and I don't hate you for using Leica. I understand why you like Leica. My whole point, which none of you listened to because all of you got offended within the first 5 minutes, my whole point of saying anything about Leica was the fact that, well, if I'm being honest, you can't compare Leica cameras to Fujifilm cameras at all, because nothing about the two besides the aesthetic is similar. And the only camera from Leica that you can compare to Fujifilm is the CL line, but all of you don't bring up the CL, which is their APS-C, because you wouldn't like the specs matched up against the Fujifilm for photo or for video. And so it's just picking and choosing, and it's cherry picking, and I don't like it because it's disingenuous. It's disingenuous to buyers, because if someone spends $8,000 on a Leica camera, there's going to be more likely chance they're going to appreciate it and talk about how great it is because they spent $8,000 on it. But I would just really hate for someone to spend $8,000 on it and not do their research because they hear how great it is, and they never get used to the autofocus, and they miss some of the features, and they wish they would have had a video feature and all these things. And I understand that's their job to do that, but you just have to stop being disingenuous with all of your reviews and comparing an APS-C camera to a full frame camera that doesn't have autofocus when the APS-C does. It doesn't do video when the APS-C does. It doesn't have the same amount of frames that can be shot in a second that the APS-C does. Nowhere near the same. They're nowhere near the same, period. But that same brand has an APS-C line camera that is a little bit more similar that can be brought up against it, even if it's $1,000 more than their Pro line camera. But that's all it is. It's just I just don't like the disingenuousness of those reviews, and I don't really like the way that a lot of Leica users are going. And I'm just putting TLDR in the comments because too long didn't read. Because listen, I don't need to know your life story. I don't need to know why you bought a Leica, because I don't give a damn what you shot with. I don't care what anyone shoots with. I don't care if you shoot with Nikon, Sony. I'm not a Fuji fanboy. If someone makes a small compact camera that gives me the same feeling that Fujifilm does, if Leica was to make a small compact camera that would give me the same things as an X Pro 3 and I could afford one of their lenses, there would be a chance that I would switch over to Leica if it was more beneficial to me, if it was cost effective. Basically, if my return on investment was great enough to where I could move to Leica and not have to change my workflow, I would jump to Leica. If Pentax came out with something, if Olympus came out with something, APS-C, full frame, whatever, that gave me the same feeling as I do on my Fujifilm cameras, with the same return on, with the same price per dollar or bang for your buck kind of deal I feel like I'm getting with Fujifilm, with the same feeling I get from colors, film simulation, things like that. If they were to be able to do that, I would definitely contemplate jumping, and there's a chance that I could jump. I'm not loyal to a brand. I've literally been with 4 camera brands now: Canon, Sony, Olympus, and now Fujifilm. I'm not loyal to a brand. I'm not loyal to a sensor size. But what I am is I am realistic, because I have shot with those, because I have shot with Nikon. I have shot with, the Olympus film cameras, Yashica film cameras, Olympus Micro Four Thirds cameras. I have shot with Panasonic for video. I have shot with the Sony A7S II, with the Sony A7 III, with the Sony A7R4. I have shot with the Canon EOS R whenever that was the big camera out. I have had the RP in my hands. I have had a Leica M in my hands. I've done a lot of these things. I've been privileged. I've met a lot of people, and I got to travel in one of my previous jobs for people that are creatives, and I got to see people with these things, and I got to play with them. So I'm not shitting on something I don't know about, but I'm just telling you my opinion and where I'm coming from. And everyone's first thing to jump to is to defend their decision, when I don't give a damn about your decision. I don't care why you chose to shoot with what you shoot. That's your decision, and you're the only one who has to defend that to yourself. Stop trying to compare something else to us so that you can say, oh, this is more premium. Because I'm telling you right now, the Leica bodies aren't more premium. They're not that premium. They're not that great. They're minimalistic. That's cute. That's cute. That's not cute. Cute isn't premium. They're made out of metal and things like that. Okay, X Pro 3 is made out of titanium. That's cute. Cute isn't premium. Oh, the sensor. Listen, that's great. Everyone has their own sensor technology. Doesn't mean anything. That's cute. That's not premium. Canon users will stab you in the face if you act like there's anything better than Canon colors. That's cute. That's not premium. Oh, but it's so small and lightweight and it gets you an analog fill. Well, a lot of people say that about the X Pro 3, and Fujifilm users will shank you in the face as well if you try to, make it sound like the X Pro 3 isn't a professional camera. That's cute. That's great. If you're shooting film, I understand Leica. If you're shooting digital, I understand Leica using that M body, but at the same time, it's just, to me, the bodies are overpriced. I understand the glass being priced the way it is, but the bodies are overpriced, and that's just my opinion. So don't be offended by my opinion whenever it's about why I don't agree with people comparing two cameras and you taking it as, oh, I have to justify my purchase in Leica. You just outed yourself as someone who, doesn't do well with making financial decisions whenever it comes to cameras. Because I can tell you right now, if Leica's worth $3,000 and $2,000, you guys would be less defensive of them, because everyone could jump in and grab a Leica. If the Leica Q2 or the M10 or whatever it is came out as $1,500 just body only, or $2,000 body only, or $3,000 body only, you would be less defensive, because then everyone could join the Leica cult and it wouldn't be as prestigious, and you wouldn't feel like you're that much further above everyone. It's just snobbery. Sorry that I got back onto that. Look up John Ilko, Ilko, ILKO on Flickr. He's fantastic with what he shot. I know I couldn't put it into words, but there's just something different about the way that he shoots, and I just really appreciate it. Everything he shot was to tell a story. It's not just for concept. That's something that I appreciate. It reminds me of my grandfather who shot film. Everything he shot was to tell a story of us. It wasn't just a concept or because everyone's shooting this. And I think that's one of the benefits of growing up, where you didn't have the internet and you're looking at magazines, and you're looking at photo books, and you're having to find out about these people from the art that's being displayed certain places, and you get your inspiration, and just you're out there creating before you even see what the next big thing is. So shout out to you, John. Shout out to Anthony at frame.count. Shout out to Matt HD Photo. Great job on your end. I really do appreciate that. I don't know if any of those people besides John follow me or subscribe to me, but I appreciate everything y'all are doing. Y'all are very inspirational to me. And yeah, I don't even know what I talked about in the first 5 minutes, but have a good one.